Shedeur Sanders draft prop set at 8.5, juice to the over, meaning juice to pick 9 or later. He's most likely, according to ESPN BET, to land with the Saints at plus 110. They own the 9th pick, followed by the Giants 3-1. They own the 3rd overall pick. Speaking of the G-men, here's GM Joe Schoen on the state of his team's QBs.
With the signing of those two players, I think we put ourselves in a position where, I don't think that's mandatory or something that we're, our feet to the fire and we have to do. Two guys we signed have played a lot of ball. They've got a lot of skins on the wall, and I do think we've upgraded that room, compared to where it was a year ago. I like the two guys that we have, and, Tommy's still in there, and he's won games for us too, and he's still developing, so we're happy with the makeup of the room right now.
Those are some interesting words from Giants GM Joe Schoen. Thank God I'm not a Giants fan. But let's see how that affects Tyler's mock drafts. Let's walk through the first couple of picks that you have for us today.
All right, this is going to be fun. I think the first one is very easy. This is like Paige Becker's going first overall.
Yeah, this is not surprising. I can agree with that.
Just lock it in. That's pretty much 100% going to happen. At number 2, here's where the Browns could make a choice. Do they draft Shedeur Sanders? Do they go Abdul Carter? No. I think they take the best football player in this draft.
Okay.
Heisman Trophy winner, Travis Hunter. Although, I think they should take Shedeur. I think Shedeur is going to fall out of the top 2. But I don't think he falls too far.
Not that far?
Erin,
you're going to put him at 3?
I have the G-men taking him.
After what we just heard.
Listen, they did a lot of work on Shedeur Sanders. We know they met with him again this week. That's a quarterback room with an old Russell Wilson, a Tommy Cutlets, and Jameis, who is, of course, Jameis.
I can't believe they can make a case that's a good quarterback room, but nonetheless, okay.
I think they want to draft someone else here and then trade back into the first round, but they're going to find out that that's probably a risk that's not worth taking because teams like the Raiders, the Jets, the Saints, the Steelers could also draft a quarterback. So John Mara, the owner, says, no, Joe Schoen, you have to draft my guy Shedeur at number 3 because we need a QB. And look at the ways that you could bet on that, Erin. To be top 5.
There's so many different ways that you can bet the draft. I know sometimes we just think this player going to this certain team, but again, so many different ways that you can bet the draft to where it kind of gives you a little bit of leeway of where people could actually land. Because of course, none of us are actually in the room with the phones. Although that would be kind of crazy. I wouldn't hate
like
that.
A lot of plus signs there for him going 3rd overall. That would be kind of a big upset in this draft.
All right, well, Abdul Carter from Penn State, shout out. Go to the Lions. Where do you have him going?
Most people think he's going to go number 3 to the Giants, but if I have him taking Shedeur, that means Carter falls into the lap of Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots. I think Carter's kind of overrated. I don't think he's quite a Micah Parsons level prospect, but most people seem to think he's one of the top 3 football players in this draft, so I think the Patriots would be happy to put Carter at number 4, where again, Erin, we can get some value. If you're going to bet this, 6-1 to be the 4th overall selection and plus 225 for New England to draft an edge instead of an offensive lineman with their 1st overall pick. So that'd be another kind of domino that would make this draft kind of crazy.
All right, and here's where things shake up a little bit for your mock draft.
Yeah.
So what do you have going on at number 5?
Our first trade. The Jaguars traded the 5th pick to San Francisco, coming up from number 11 because they need to shore up their defensive line, and they take the best interior lineman in this draft, Mason Graham. That's what Kyle Shanahan wants on that defense, which fell apart last year. So the first trade, Jags and the Niners, Erin.
Oh, all right. Well, what else you got for the rest of these picks?
Okay, so I think the Raiders would love to have Shedeur fall there, but he does not. So how about a Michigan man? Because again, Tom Brady owns the team.
Michigan.
He went to Michigan. John Spytek went to Michigan. He's the GM. And Pete Carroll loved defensive backs. He built the Legion of Boom in Seattle. So why not get his Richard Sherman, so to speak, with Will Johnson, who is not going to run fast, but you put on the tape, and this dude is dominant with that dominant defense they've had at Michigan the last few years. And again, if this happens, instead of them going Ashton Jeanty or quarterback, look at the ways we can leverage this. 7-1 for Johnson to be the 6th overall pick. He is expected to be the first DB drafted, but for Las Vegas to go corner instead of running back or quarterback, that's a plus 250 prop right there, Erin. So some value in my mock if Johnson goes to the Raiders.
I mean, and based on, again, positions of certain things, that's kind of cool with just the cornerback overall because it could be someone else as well, even if that's just the one certain thing that they're looking for. All right, 7-10.
All right, this one is kind of expected by the market. Right tackle Armand Membu going to the Jets. Erin Glenn, going to build the offensive line like Dan Campbell did with the Detroit Lions. I think the Panthers would love to trade, but don't find someone to do it. So they take best player on their board, Jalen Walker, Dan Morgan, linebacker. He can help.
You always got to go with a Georgia guy at some point. Like
Bulldogs
go with a Georgia.
On defense have been a thing lately, so we like that. Here's where my draft.
Who are you having here? This is what I'm most curious
This is where Shedeur, most people think he's going to go, but he's off the board. So the Saints got to go Jackson Dart.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Continue on. This is your mock draft. This is not my mock draft. I'm not going to pick it apart.
Well, if Jackson Dart goes number 9 instead of Shedeur, here's some ways you can leverage that well under his draft position of 24.5. Like, the market is expecting him to be a late first-round pick. I have him going in the top 10, so that would definitely be a big upset relative to what you see at ESPN Bet. But Dart, I think, has high upside, playing in the Dome, near New Orleans, at Ole Miss, under Lane Kiffin. I think it could be a great complement to receivers like Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed and anything else they may do in this draft later.
Crazier things have happened. Things happen on draft day. Even the morning of draft, we have different news come out and shifting things. So can't fault you on that one.
Just remember
number
Michael
10.
Penix. No one expected Penix to go number 8 overall last year, and there he is now with the Atlanta Falcons. All right, the Bears, I think, and Ben Johnson would be happy to have Will Campbell fall into their lap at number 10, complete that offensive line so Caleb Williams has no excuses for them. And again, a Detroit Lions guy is Ben Johnson, where they built that dominant O-line. Campbell would be the last piece of that puzzle there.
How about Ashton Genty? Eventually, are we going to find him on the board? Maybe not at number 11, but where are we going to put him?
So most people think Genty's going to be a top 10 pick. I have him fallen out of the top 10, and take a look at the ways that you could leverage this. Again, his draft position, if he falls into the 10th or later spot, plus 175. Look at these teams, the long shots to draft him. 16-1 on the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to put him there because Kevin Clark came on our show yesterday and convinced me that's what Jerry Jones would do.
All right. Well, the rest of this, I mean, there's so many other picks that we could do. We could do this all day.
I don't have time for that, unfortunately.
We all don't have time for that.
It's only a 30-minute show today, but
we got to wrap that on up.
All kinds of ways, I think, Erin, that our viewers, if they like my mock, can leverage this mock draft and bet it at ESPN Bet.